For 25 long years, the village of Agbala lived under a terrible curse. Each night, an evil bird with glowing red eyes flew over the village, and by morning, the youngest child of every family would be dead. The villagers were scared and heartbroken. They didn't know how to stop the bird, and every family had suffered the loss of their beloved youngest child. The villagers had tried everything they could think of to stop the evil bird. They set traps, they tried to shoot it down, and they even tried to keep their youngest children hidden, but nothing worked. The evil bird seemed to know every trick they tried and continued to take their children. The chief priest of Agwala Kingdom was a very wise and old man. He spent many nights praying to the gods and asking for help. One night, he received a prophecy from the gods. The prophecy said that a boy from the poorest family in the village would have the power to choose 3 men who could go into the evil forest and kill the evil bird. This boy was the only hope to end the curse and save the village. When the chief priest told the villagers about the prophecy, everyone was hopeful but also worried because they knew that finding this boy and stopping the bird would be very difficult. But they had no other choice because the villagers were suffering too much and they needed to believe in the prophecy. The king of Agwala Kingdom was a good and kind ruler. He cared deeply about his people and wanted to end their suffering. However, he was also very worried. He had only one son, Prince Eze, who was the heir to the throne. The king had a terrible dream one day. In that dream, his son was among the 3 chosen men that were sent to the evil forest to fight the evil bird. And also in that dream, one of those men didn't return. This dream filled the king with fear and sadness because he did not want to lose his only son. But despite his fears, the king knew that he had to trust the prophecy. The villagers needed hope, and the prophecy was their only hope. The chief priest and the king gathered everyone in the village square to announce the prophecy and to begin the search for the boy. The boy from the prophecy was named Obi. He lived with his family in a small town on the edge of the village. Obi's family was very poor. They had little food and their clothes were old and worn. But despite their poverty, Obi was a bright and brave boy. He had a kind heart and was always willing to help others. When the chief priest and the king called for Obi, he was surprised and a little scared. He had never been the center of attention before, and now everyone was looking at him. The chief priest explained the prophecy to Obi and told him that he had the power to choose 3 men who would go into the forest to kill the evil bird. At first, Obi was nervous but also determined. He knew that the village was counting on him, and he did not want to let them down. He took a deep breath and began to think about who he should choose. The villagers watched in silence, with their hearts full of hope and fear. After a long moment, Obi pointed 2 strong and brave men from the village. These men were known for their courage and skills in hunting. The villagers nodded in agreement. These men were good choices. But then, Obi paused and looked around the crowd. He took another deep breath and pointed to Prince Eze, the king's only son. The villagers shocked because the king's worst fear had come true. The king's face turned pale and he felt a deep pain in his heart. But he knew that the prophecy could not be changed. He had to trust in the gods and in his son's bravery. The king reluctantly gave his permission, and the chief priest performed special incantations to protect the 3 chosen men. The priest called upon the gods and the spirit of their ancestors to guide and protect the men on their dangerous journey. The next morning, the 3 men set out for the forest. The villagers watched as they disappeared into the trees. Their hearts filled with both hope and fear because the forest was a dark and dangerous place, filled with wild animals and dark magic. The men knew that they would face so many challenges, but they were determined to succeed. The journey through the forest was long and difficult. The men faced many dangers, including wild animals and treacherous paths. They had to be very careful and work together to survive. Prince Eze proved to be a brave and capable leader, guiding the men through the forest and keeping their spirits up. On the 7th day of their journey, The men found a clearing in the forest. In the center of the clearing was a tall, twisted tree. Perched on a branch of the tree was the evil bird. Its eyes glowed red, and its feathers were black as night. The bird looked at the men with a sinister gaze, and they felt a chill run down their spines. The men knew that this was their chance to kill the bird and end the curse. They prepared their weapons and moved quietly towards the tree. But the bird was very clever. It sensed their presence and let out a terrible screech. The ground shook and the air grew cold. The men felt a wave of fear wash over them, but they knew they had to be very brave. Prince Eze took a deep breath and stepped forward. He raised his sword and called out to the bird, "Evil bird, your reign of terror ends today. We will not let you take any more of our children." The bird screeched again and flew towards Prince Eze. The men fought bravely, using their weapons and their wits to battle the bird. The fight was long and difficult. The bird was very powerful and the men were growing tired, but they did not give up. They fought with all their strength and courage. Finally, Prince Eze had an opportunity. The bird swooped down towards him, and he swung his sword with all his might. The blade struck the bird's heart, and the bird let out one final screech before falling to the ground lifeless. When this happened, the men stood in silence, with their hearts pounding. They had done it. They had killed the evil bird and ended the curse. They were exhausted but filled with relief and joy. They knew that the village would finally be free from the bird's terror. The men made their way back to the village, carrying the body of the evil bird as proof of their victory. When they emerged from the forest, the villagers erupted in cheers and applause. The curse was finally over and the village was safe. The king rushed to embrace his son with tears of joy streaming down his face. The villagers celebrated, singing and dancing in the streets. They praised the bravery of the three men and thanked the gods for their protection. Because of this, the chief priest declared a week of festivities to honor the heroes and to celebrate the end of the curse. The villagers were filled with happiness and relief. They had been through so much, but now they could finally look forward to a future without fear. Obi and his family were also celebrated. The villagers thanked Obi for his wisdom and bravery in choosing the three men. The king rewarded Obi and his family with gifts of foods, clothing, and a new home. They were no longer the poorest family in the village. Their lives had been changed forever. Prince Eze was hailed as a hero. The villagers admired his bravery and leadership. The king was very proud of his son and knew that he would make a great ruler one day. The village of Agbola was united in their joy and gratitude. They had faced a terrible curse, but they had overcome it together. The story of the evil bird and the brave heroes who defeated it was passed down through generations. It became a tale of hope and courage, reminding the villagers that even in the darkest times, there is always a chance for light and goodness to prevail. And so the village of Agbola thrived. The people lived in peace and happiness, knowing that they had the strength and courage to face any challenge. They never forget the bravery of Obi, Prince Eze, and the two warriors who had saved them from the evil bird. Their legacy lived on, inspiring future generations to be brave and to always believe in the power of hope and unity.